today just to talk about financial services with you, providing for our communities. When I moved away, and I'm in Houston, my heart is to come back to Beaumont and educate.
That's right.
Educate our people to a point where they can be comfortable and live a great life.
Wonderful. So, Karen, where are you from?
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
NOLA.
From the Big Easy.
The Big Easy, yeah. So how did you come this way?
Met Mary, this wonderful lady, through a friend of mine, a guy that I actually went to high school with. And she came down to my office in New Orleans and saw what we were doing and was just so impressed with the things that we taught and wanted to become a part of it, and she brought me to Texas.
Wonderful. Now today we're going to talk about financial literacy, and then we're going to talk about the other 90. Because watch this now, because they should be giving 10% to the church.
Yeah.
Get their time. So we're going to talk about the other 90. We're going to talk about budgeting. We're going to talk about how to pay yourself first in debt management and life insurance.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So now tell us, have you noticed that in our community that people are not prepared on the long term for life?
Very much. I have noticed that. I have my own tax business, and I noticed that when they come to me, and it's crazy, and I'm not speaking or talking ill will, but they will have a $2,500 purse and don't have $500 in their savings account.
Wow.
And for me, I had the wow factor, and so I started talking to them about financial services, and this is the avenue we need to go down, and I'm here to assist you. You know, I'm reasonable.
Yeah.
I'm not here to make the money all, just for myself. I want everybody. If I prosper, everybody.
And that's the good news about what you're doing here today. You're trying to make sure that people have the literacy, the understanding.
Yes.
I don't want to use scripture all the time, but the Bible says my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. It's because people don't know how to financially place themselves in a good position. And so that's what you ladies are here today to talk about.
Yes. Absolutely. To quote another scripture, the Bible talks about leaving an inheritance for your children's children. And so when we are spending on things that are, I read a T-shirt before that said, I'm spending my children's inheritance, my child's inheritance. It's not funny, because we should leave something for those that are left behind.
Yeah, and most times, I've heard it said, because I got mine, you got to get yours.
Yeah.
Well, our children shouldn't have to start when we started.
No.
They should be all in a better position financially in every other aspect of their lives than we were when we got started.
Absolutely.
So now let's talk about some insurance, because most people in our community don't have insurance.
Wow.
And if they do have insurance, it's not enough to cover the expenses that will come after the fact. So why don't you talk about that?
Absolutely. We talk about the fact that in our community, either one or two things happen. Either you live too long or you die too soon. And
you live too long or die too soon.
Right. And so what we mean by that is we mean that if you die with someone else dependent on your income, husbands don't think about dying and leaving a wife behind. Parents don't think about dying and leaving children behind financially. And so it's like you die too soon because they're still dependent on you.
Right.
And
so you have a nice graphic that you use to show us how people need to look at things, because they still have insurance, they still have taxes, food, kids, bills, debt. So let's put that graphic up and you talk us through it.
Absolutely. One of the things that I talk to people about when I sit down with them is that they insure their cell phones. They insure their cars and their homes. And how can you have insurance on your cell phone and not on yourself? Not on your family or not on the income that provides for the family. And so what this graphic shows is that if you're in a household where the dad's making $30,000 a year and the mom's making $30,000 a year, that's a $60,000 a year household.
Right.
And that $60,000 goes out. Don't we all know it comes in and it goes out?
And like you say, you got insurance, you got taxes, you got food, you got kids, you got the bills, you got your debt, you got your car, and you got your mortgage.
Absolutely. And the question that I asked Pastor, which one of those bills die or go away when the breadwinner dies? Do any of those bills diminish when the breadwinner dies?
No. So on your next graphic, you show that if the father would leave and pass away, that the wife or the mom still has the responsibility of taking care of all of those things.
Absolutely, absolutely. She just lost not only love and affection and support, but she lost an income of $30,000 a year that was helping pay for the mortgage and raise the kids. And so now mom is actually trying to run a $60,000 household on $30,000.
Wow.
And so that's a recipe for disaster.
And what we have seen in our neighborhood is that then the mom goes out and get a second and a third job.
Yes.
But then the question needs to be asked, then who's watching the kids?
And that's one of the things I ask people all the time. I talked to one lady in my office building. She told me she had 3 jobs. I didn't know you could have 3 full-time jobs.
Wow.
And she told me she worked a day job, and this lady actually lost her husband. She told me she works a day job, an evening job, and a weekend job. And in all sincerity, I just had to ask. I said, I'm so sorry for your loss, but my question was, who's watching the children? So, when you leave your family in that position, even for single parents, when we die in our community, we leave 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 kids on grandma or mom.
Wow.
And you never thought that I'm going to leave my mother the responsibility or my grandmother the responsibility of raising 4 kids with no money.
Yeah.
That's a financial disaster for your mother and for your children.
Yeah.
And so we just need to think about what we're doing, and this becomes more important now because it's not just about frying fish to bury me or funding a GoFund for my burial. I have to think about those that I leave behind.
And so one of the things that we need to make sure we look at is, instead of having $200 tennis shoes,
Yes.
or $500 rims,
Yes.
that we might need to look at investing in life insurance to provide for our families long term.
Absolutely.
So now you have what is called the dime theory. Tell us about the dime theory.
The dime theory is definitely something that was not taught in our community. Okay? What was taught in our community by people who knocked on our doors and sold our grandparents and our mother's insurance, where they sold burial policies, which was simply enough to bury me if I died. My mother, I have 15 brothers and sisters.
Whoa!
And
What's
so
happening in New Orleans?
So in my case, my mom could get in the casket with my dad and he died because she couldn't raise 16 kids without my father's income. But of course, nobody taught her about the dime theory, okay?
Okay.
And so what the dime theory says is that if you die prematurely, your debt doesn't, can we go back to the graphic?
Yeah, we go back.
Your debt doesn't die with you. So your debt needs to be taken care of, because if you have a 401k or you own a home, your debt is going to be paid before your family gets their inheritance.
Wow.
Okay, so most people don't know that. Of course, the smallest part of life insurance, which we as a people have been taught was the only part of life insurance, was burial. You do have to be buried, but you don't need to put $50,000 in the ground, right?
Wow.
A reasonable burial. Okay?
Right.
But the most important part of the dime theory is income replacement. And there's absolutely no one that I've sat down with in 25 years that told me somebody talked to them about income replacement. So in the event, if you look at the graphic, if a person only makes $1,000 a month, that's $12,000 a year. They would need $120,000 worth of life insurance to replace that $12,000 a year coming into the house.
Wow.
And I sit down, Pastor, with folks making $5,000 a month and $7,000 a month and have no life insurance or very little life insurance. Okay? And so then we also say that the largest expense that the average family has is either their rent or their mortgage. And so you don't want to leave your wife struggling with a mortgage by herself or your husband struggling with a mortgage by himself when both of the incomes were helping pay for that mortgage.
Right.
So we want to make sure that that mortgage is paid off so that family's home could be secured for the future. So how many people, even when our parents left us houses, the children lost the house because they could not afford the upkeep of the house or afford to pay the mortgage on the house. So this way you leave them a house, you know you also left them enough money to pay off the mortgage. Wow. And that family house, that family home is secured in the family forever. And the last one is an education fund for your kids. You know, I ask people all the time, if you died prematurely, would you still want your children to be able to go to college? Wow. Absolutely, I do. So you need to make sure that part of that money actually funds an education for your children. And one of the most unique things about our company, I think, is that we're not only insurance licensed, we're securities licensed. So when we deliver a death claim, we're there to financially instruct that person to make sure that part of those funds are put away for the future.
Yeah, and most people think that the policy that they have to bury their loved one is enough to sustain them after the funeral is over.
Absolutely.
Because after that Saturday is over, Monday begins.
Yeah. Monday begins. And I actually tell people, I say, I think some of that crying and hollering and screaming at those funerals is like, okay, his check stopped Friday and my rent is due Monday, right?
Right.
And so it's like, how am I going to make him now that he's gone?
And really,
or she's gone.
Yeah, really, and it's not that expensive to be able to provide for your family long term.
No, it's not.
So your next graphic that you have that shows us the death benefit from two different policies.
Yes.
So talk to us about those policies.
Okay. One of the things in our community, especially, but in America on a whole, we're typically sold the wrong type of insurance, and that's why we don't have the type of coverage we need. We don't have enough to pay off a mortgage and provide income replacement because we're sold very expensive life insurance, okay? And so what we teach is to show a person the difference between what we call a cash value life insurance policy, which I would probably say 90% of the people that I meet have, because it's sold as a benefit. And so in this graphic, you see that if the husband had $150,000 on them and the wife had $150,000 on her, they would be spending about $298 a month. Okay, in our community, we already know we're not spending $300 a month on life insurance. We just can't afford it. And so what I sit down with people and I show them the difference between a concept called buy term and invest the difference. In this exact situation, the husband and wife could both have $300,000 each. The children could be covered because children do need to be covered. They don't bring income in, but nobody wants to fish fry while they're grieving a child. I think the worst thing I've ever seen is someone in grief and then have to stop and say, how do I pay for this? Okay? And so the children have $25,000. That's a total of $625,000 worth of life insurance. That's a monthly amount of $123. Now, in our community, our monthly amount might be about $65, you know, because they're younger, or either they don't need that much, right? But in that scenario, they take the $175 that we saved them from the other policy, and Pastor, even if they don't have current insurance, we do a budget page and find out how much they're wasting. Okay, spending unnecessarily, and use part of that unnecessary money and fund actually a life insurance policy to protect their family as well as an investment for the future.
So really what you're saying is that if we would do a budget of what we spend on a monthly basis, that we're actually wasting a lot of money that we could be investing to get insurance and make sure that our families are provided for a long term.
That's correct.
So looking at the two benefit packages, I mean, you could take the $175 that you're the difference, and make an investment, and get more money back. Cash money.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And so in the next graphic, it shows that $175 a month being invested, not saved, because that's another area that we lack in. We save money. Well, we don't really save, but when we do save, we save in banks that pay us very low interest rate, but they charge us very high when they lend us the money.
That's right.
Now, how can you give me 0.5% on my savings and charge me 24.99 on my credit card, and 15.99 on my car if my credit is bad, right? And so that's just, it doesn't make sense. They're making more money on our money than we are. So we teach people to invest, which the stock market has averaged 10%, and as you can check it out, has averaged 10% since inception, since 1928, and we're still sitting at 1%. That 175 investment would grow to almost $700,000.
Wow. Over what period of time?
That's over a
35 years. So look at this for a second. So if you are 20 years old, because most of us think that we're going to live forever. And I believe we can live to 120. We can. Look, we still look good. But most people wait to the latter part of their lives to invest in these type of policies when it's cheaper,
much cheaper,
when they are in their younger years to make the investment.
Absolutely. We have a client that he's 28 years old, was spending $600 a month on life insurance. He came with us. He's now spending $100 for $400,000 more than what he had, and he's investing the other $500.
Wow.
Now he's at 28. Can you imagine where he would be at 29?
At 64, he'll be a multi-millionaire.
A multi-millionaire by just
Taking the
being
money that he's
knowledgeable
already spending, yes.
of what the market is doing right now, and also with life insurance. You know, it doesn't make much sense to me to have all of the shoes, the cars, and all that kind of stuff, and don't have insurance.
And don't have insurance.
I talk to people all the time. Yeah, I say, look, y'all, we are consumers. We spend money. So it's not true that you can't afford it. The truth is you're making choices that you're affording something. It's just not the right things.
Right.
So we teach a need basis want in the seminar, what you actually need versus what you want.
Yes.
You know, I talked to a young lady, she called me the other day, this was about a month ago, she said, oh, I'm struggling, my life insurance is going to have to go. And I'm very blunt with my people because I love my people. I don't sell this from the pocket, I sell this from the heart, right? I've delivered a $360,000 death claim to a 27-year-old widow. Right? She bought a Mercedes, because y'all know we like Mercedes. She bought a home, and she invested $150,000. She was 27. That money will turn over every 7 years. Wow. She too will be a millionaire before she's 60, but that's because her mom was my agent, and our mom educated her daughter to protect the income of her husband.
Wow.
And so where does that happen? If we don't take it to our people, who will?
Yeah. And that's why this is so important for those of you who are watching today, that you must understand that you must have financial literacy in order to be successful in life. Yeah. That's why the budgeting portion of your seminars that you do, to talk to people about how to budget their money.
Yes.
You know, because like you say, you'll find a lot of waste in there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the story I was telling. I forgot to finish it. The girl called me. She said, I'm struggling. I think my life insurance is going to have to go. And my response to her was, yes, something will have to go, but it won't be your life insurance. Let's start with cable and 400 channels. Let's start with my child having an iPhone. Let's start with the $200 weed and the $80 nails.
You pay $200 for a weed? I'm in the wrong business.
Yes, Pastor. They're doing it every day. Okay.
Wow.
So, you know, and I wasn't offensive because I have a relationship with her. And you know what she told me? She said, you know what, Miss Karen, you're right. She said, I said, let's do the budget again. She said, I'm going to look at my budget. And it touched my heart because she received. Right. See, what people miss, that B part of the equation about my people perish for lack of knowledge, that B part of that verse says because they rejected it.
They reject the knowledge.
Exactly.
That's right. That's
so
right.
she didn't reject it, she received it. And she said, you know what, because I really want to make sure my child is, she has one child, I want to make sure my child is taken care of.
Wow.
And so that's what we do in our community. Sometimes we got to get down with them
on
how we understand, right?
And she's on her behalf and speaking. And one thing about our community, we always say, oh, I don't want you in my business. You don't have business.
Right.
We are here to help you, educate you. We don't care where you are. We want to get you to a place that you never thought maybe possible you can be.
Because if you're going to teach me how to set my family up long term, then I need to talk to you.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm finding that more now. More people are way more receptive because America's in a financial crisis. Families are struggling, and it's middle class families, not just poor people who are struggling. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Most of the people that work with me part-time make $50,000 and $75,000 already on their job, and they're doing this.
Wow.
You know, so because they believe in the concepts and
now,
the help.
And the other part of this thing is that you teach people how to pay themselves first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, I mean, you're spending she said $2,500 for $2,500 for a purse with $2.50 in the purse.
Don't even have that to put in the purse.
So you're actually teaching people how to pay themselves first.
Yes.
Yeah, we talk about, you know, paying God, paying yourself, you know, making sure your family. So it's wealth creation and wealth protection. You know, you have to protect the wealth first because you can tell me when you want to die, when you're going to retire. You can tell me when you want to get out of debt. You can tell me when you want to buy a home, but you cannot tell me when you're going to die. So that's the immediate need in all families' lives because it's too often somebody died instantaneously and then we're fish frying and GoFunding me because you don't get a notice on it.
Or we're just holding the body for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Or a month. I've seen somebody hold it for a month.
Yeah.
Right. And so because if you budget correctly and you determine or distinguish your needs from your wants, then maybe $80 worth of designs on your fingernails may not be as important. And I've seen it. I've seen it, Pastor.
Karen, you said $80 on your fingernails.
Yes,
I've seen it.
Yes.
It took me, I mean, literally, I would not even pay for extra gel nails. Gel nails cost $15 extra. And I'm sitting next to a single parent with 2 children, and she's blinged out, and I'm like, and the girl tells her $80, and I go, what? I said, did you just say $80? She's spending $80 to have blinged out fingernails. Pastor,
Every 2 weeks?
We've got to talk to our people, Pastor.
So okay. So if a person is paying $80 every 2 weeks, that's $160. I can add real quick.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Time.
Your policy was only $123 for $625,000 worth of insurance
Exactly.
for your husband, the wife, and the child.
And the children.
And you say you don't have the resources to purchase the insurance.
That's correct. We run into it all the time, Pastor, all the time.
And I've talked to my siblings, because y'all know I have a lot. I said,
15, it was 16 of them, she
8
said.
boys and 8 girls. I said, I love my nieces and nephews, but do me a favor. Don't leave me children with no money. Because I'll take care of anybody's child. That's what I'm known for. But I would take care of them a lot better with some money.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And what most people also on that graph that we showed earlier, is that most people don't have life insurance on their children.
No, they don't.
Because we assume that our children are going to outlive us.
Exactly.
Yes.
But we know in our community, we've seen far too many babies die,
Right.
far too many young people die. And literally at that age, my son who's 29, was 29 when I did his adult policy, 25 when I did his adult policy, I was spending $29 for $150,000. So why is a mother crying and doing a fish fry to bury her young man when for $29? And see, that's where the responsibility comes in.
Wow.
Yes.
And again, this is about financial literacy.
Yes.
Giving you information so that you will know, hey, listen, there might be a better way of doing this thing.
Yes.
You know, and it's not, and it's cost efficient.
Yes.
So all I got to do is just tap into the knowledge that people like you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what we're here for.
We're one of the few companies that allows a person to start an investment with $25 and $50 a month. The average investment company
savings.
would laugh at you, right? They don't even sit down with you unless you have $100,000.
Wow.
And we're allowing individuals with $25, $50 a month to start investments. So there's no reason not to do it, Pastor.
And let me throw this twist in there, Karen and Mary. Then those pastors of you who are watching today.
Oh, yeah.
Look, you need to make sure that you have life insurance. Maybe instead of buying a designer suit,
Yes.
you know, you might need to invest that suit money into a policy that will help and benefit your family.
Yes, absolutely. Even for the parishioners or your
church.
congregation, you know, instead of giving alligator shoes or a suit, maybe we could decide that we want to make sure that the first lady.
Karen, you've been a touch of nerve around here. Go ahead on, Karen, go ahead on.
We might want to make sure that the first lady and the children are provided for if our beloved pastor that served us for 25, 30, 40 years, right?
Yes.
She shared her husband with the church for 25, 30, 40 years. Make sure that that family is provided for.
Yeah.
I think, do you think that, am I overstepping when I
No,
say
you-
we owe
hey,
that? We owe that to
You're preaching to
pastors?
the choir. Did you? She said after a pastor served for 25 years,
Yes.
you know, the wife and the children don't even have enough
Don't have
to
enough.
sustain their lives after doing ministry for that long. So
Exactly.
even pastors, I say that because I've talked to pastors, and most pastors are more concerned about the suit, the car, and all that, instead of long-term life insurance.
Right, and it's only because they haven't been taught.
Yeah.
This is not something that was taught in our community.
Correct.
The guy that actually in my organization was working on a PhD, and he was so impressed because he never saw the concepts that our company teaches after going through many years of school. He said, if I don't know this, I know the average person doesn't know this. And so we're not blaming our people for not having it. We're saying you were not given the information that you needed to make the right choices that you could make. So that we know the old adage is, when I know better, I
Do better.
do better.
So that's what we try to do here on What's Happening in Our Neighborhood, to give you information so that you can do better. Because listen, we all want you to be successful.
Yes.
We all want you to have long life. But hey, listen, life at some point it ends. But you need to make sure. Look, I told them in the back. I say my wife and children, they're gonna celebrate. I told them they need to cry a lot of tears. They need to cry a lot of tears. But after they get back in the limo, they need to say, "Whoa! He left us set for life."
Yeah. And that's the. I don't know if we covered everything we needed to cover, but we call it the last love letter.
Okay.
When we take care of our families as men and women, it's the love that we have that makes us provide for them. Yeah. Well, that life insurance benefit is the last love letter you will ever write to your wife. Honey, I loved you when I was here, and I'll love you eternally.
Ooh, that's
and I'll
good.
make sure that you're provided for whether I'm dead or alive. And that woman, I mean, I hear it. I see it all the time. They're grieving. It doesn't make you happy when you get the money, but it sure makes you secure. And what more can you do for a family than to leave them in with the last love letter?
So if you say you love me, then you need to leave me set. Is that what you said, Karen? If you love me, you better leave me set.
I have to tell this story. I did a seminar at a church it was a marriage retreat, a marriage couples seminar. And so the woman was there and her husband couldn't make it. So when I got to the house, I'm talking to the husband about life insurance and the wife about life insurance. He's like, I don't think I need that much. So she turns around and goes, so you're saying you don't love me?
Wow.
Because she heard the last love letter story,
wow.
right? But it really is the truth. If we love them, we provide for them.
Okay, but that's just not for the man,
It's
for
right.
his wife.
That's right.
The wife needs to make sure that she's covered too.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, Pastor, because I actually delivered a death claim to my sister's husband. And of course, when I was doing the insurance as a sister, I thought I was taking care of my sister, okay? But they had 6 children and a lot of debt, and so they got the policy. Look, reluctantly, because she's like, we don't need that much insurance, Carol. Look what she told me. You just want to make a sale. I said, sis, this is not about a sale. I promise you, you have 6 children, a house note, and if he dies, you will be struggling with these 6 children. And so they did get the policy, and I ended up providing that death claim, sliding that check over to my brother-in-law, and he thanked me. He said, thank you for what you did for my family.
Wow.
I paid off my mortgage. I gave the children money. I paid off all the debt. Karen, we were in, he said, my sister, I don't need to say her name, left us in a good place. So it's not always the men that die.
Right. And most people plan if you don't plan right now, then really what you're doing is you're planning to fail.
Exactly right. You're planning to fail without having a plan. You're putting yourself in position. If we just look at how our parents lived and died, and our grandparents, one of my recruits said, why are black people always doing the reset button? When somebody dies, we got to reset.
That's good stuff there. Hit that red reset button.
He said, but in other communities, when they die, they're set. The families are set. That's how you get old money in a family.
That's how you get the old money.
Because, grandma left us a couple of million, grandpa then left us a couple, and mama left us straight. But in our family, we hitting reset. We got to start all over again.
Wow.
And it just has to stop. At some point, it has to stop, y'all. And for me, being one of 16, I said I wanted it to stop here for me and my children. And my sisters and my brothers bought into that. And we decided no more resetting.
No more reset.
No more reset.
Well,
I'm one of 8, so no more reset.
That's preachable. That no more reset. No more resets. I'm going to get this thing right now.
Yes.
Woo! So you need to start planning right now.
Yes.
Absolutely. We do what you're looking at too. I want to just mention that we do a complimentary financial need analysis.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. And that financial need analysis gives you a budget page, so you can start budgeting your money and start giving the 10% that you should be giving. Just thought I'd just put that.
Give your 10%. That's right. And your offer, your time, and your
offering, right? And if you budget more, you'll be able to do that. It also looks at where your debt is going, and we show people how to pay their debt off sooner, just with a debt stacking program. How to save for college, how to save for retirement, and how to manage your and that's free. Financial planners charge $750 to $1,500 to do that.
Hold up. See, y'all gonna miss this thing. So normally it's about $750 to $1,500.
Exactly. And
but
we do it free.
You do it absolutely
FREE. Free and me do agree.
Hold on. So BISD taught you something.
Of course.
So it's absolutely free.
It's absolutely free. And what I tell people, what goes on at the table stays at the table. That means it's also confidential.
So nobody else will know your business.
Exactly.
No one else.
Now, Mary, you said that earlier about people not wanting others to know their financial status.
In our community, they do not want us to know their financial status. And it's sad because we cannot sit down at a table and find out their information and then leave that table and run and go tell someone.
Not if you want to keep your license.
We are licensed by the state. I need and keep my license. I want to keep my license.
And it's a simple. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Go ahead. It's a simple thing. We use a GPS to get where we want to get, right?
Right.
The first thing the GPS asks, where's your location?
Yeah.
So in order for me to get you where you want to go, I need to know where you are.
So we can take you on that trip you want to go on for future use.
Take me to the millionaire status.
Absolutely.
It would be awesome to see our people in our community to rise to that.
Okay.
And it's free.
My goodness, this is absolutely free, man. Look, this has been great today. So Mary and Karen, how if people who are watching today want to get in contact with you to find out more information, how can they get in contact with you?
Okay, I can give you my name and my number. Number one, I'm on Facebook, Mary Citizen.
And look, we're gonna
my office. I have an office in Houston.
We're gonna do your service. We're gonna put it right. See, it just popped up on the screen right there. We're gonna put it right there on the screen so that you can get in contact with both of them.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. That way you don't have to remember all that stuff. So we put both of their information right there on the bottom of your screen. You see it right there. Okay. All you have to do is just get in contact with them, and they will help you get yourself set for the future.
Yes.
That's what's so good about this. You got to think long term.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is Mary's phone number on the screen?
Yeah. Both of your numbers are on the screen, so we'll have it there for them to get in contact with both of you. And again, we want to thank them for coming today and talking to us about this financial literacy because it is so important. You know, listen, really, you should give your tithe and your offerings to your local church. Whatever local church you belong to, you ought to give your tithe and your offerings to them and then work off the 90%. Mm-hmm. And once you start living off the 90%, they can show you how to budget, how to pay yourself first, how to eliminate your debt, take care of your mortgage, get insurance. Those things are vitally important for you to be successful and your family to be successful for the long term. Like they said, no more resetting. Let's not start where we started from the past. Let our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren start at a greater level than what we started at. So again, I want to thank Mary and Karen for coming today to talk to us about this financial literacy. And I want to thank you for joining us today on What's Happening in Our Neighborhood. And we will see you next time on our broadcast.
Thank you.